Hey, I'm Jeremy Steele. I'm the author of Now That You're a Youth Leader, and I'm here with one of my friends, Mike. Mike is a youth worker, and we're going to tell you 9 ways to connect with a new group. So I'm going to start.
Yeah, you start.
All right, number one, I like school lunches. Some places in different parts of the country, it's easier or more difficult to get on campus. But I like to, as soon as possible, get on campus, especially the schools that have the most of your students in them, and go there and get to know them, see them in their natural habitat. And meet some of their friends, all that, and
Right.
It just kind of puts you into the youth culture pretty quickly.
Yeah, and if you can't get on the school campus, then meet them for coffee or something at Starbucks or
Right.
a local coffee shop after school, and that's a good way of meeting with them and getting to know them really quick.
Right, that was number 2. That was the second one.
That was
We
number
gotta-
2. Sorry.
We got to make sure people
One,
people
2.
put comments about how we didn't do 9. We only did 8, right?
That was number 2.
All right, so I like to tell stupid stories, things that happened to me when I was a teenager. One of my favorite stories that I tell, Mike's laughing because he's heard it, is when I was like a leader of my youth group, and I drove my car when I was 16 through into the my bumper my bumper was in the youth room, and it was good. But to tell stupid stories, talk about things that are funny, that are not, doesn't make you look great when you were a teenager, and it helps you identify with them and them identify with you.
Right. And number 4 would be VBS is a big thing at
Yep.
churches. And so what I like to do is take the students who are volunteering out to lunch after every day. Like, just make a postcard saying where you're going. Take the church bus, go out there, church van, load up in cars or whatever, go to lunch and enjoy company together. Also, I like to volunteer with the 5th grade group because they'll be coming up to me in 6th grade and just do something special for them the last day, like a Sunday party or something like that.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Because that's going to be your
Yeah.
prime youth group as you stay for a long time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so getting in with those 5th graders is really important.
Yeah, and it also makes you look really good with the children's ministry.
Oh yeah, 100%. And listen, there is no need to be in some sort of weird war with the
Right.
children's minister. You guys can be on the same team. It's really super helpful. Also, just a pro tip: when you book the church van, make sure you book the one without air conditioning.
Definitely.
In the middle of the summer.
Definitely.
Did you do that?
I did that this week. We were sweating really bad yesterday. It was awful.
Why can't church vans work?
Apparently, they got fixed, but
Oh yeah, they always get fixed,
Fixed.
and then the youth ministry
and then we break it.
them. Yeah. Okay. Now, speaking of all that, doing relational ministry on trips is really important. The initial set of camps and retreats and stuff that they do all the time is it's important, but you can, because it's your first time doing it, you can get consumed with all of the details of putting those trips on, and when you're there, you're consumed with the organizational side of it instead of really leveraging that time to build relationships with students. So what I say is, look, do as much organizational stuff as you need to beforehand, but find somebody, get a volunteer, another leader, to pass off the organizational stuff on those first couple of trips when you're there. The putting of the supplies together, the checking everybody in, all of that kind of stuff. Pass that off to your other leaders so that you can spend all of that time building relationships with students, because you just don't get that kind of time. When school is in, you get maybe an hour a week, maybe, but that's days of time. So make sure you leverage those trips for relationships.
Yeah, and if you're anything like me, then you kind of gravitate to one group
Right.
of students.
All the people who wear dark tortoiseshell glasses.
Right, pretty much, yeah.
That's right.
That's why we're friends.
That's a really cool group to
It
be
is.
in.
It's the cool.
That's right.
It's the cool kids.
Yep. They also talk about Star Trek a lot.
Yeah, not Star Wars though. Anyways,
This is not going
No.
well.
so you gravitate to one group of students, and so I have to like try really hard to go to different groups. So I learned things about football, learned things about Star Wars, learned things about Pokemon, video games, whatever that the teenagers are into, and then that way you can kind of relate to different groups in your youth group and get to know them really quickly.
Yeah, and kind of along those lines, so now we're on thing 7, right? Thing 7 is to name, to learn somebody's name and one thing about them. So when you have some, like a specific conversation with a teenager, try to remember their name and one thing about them. And like if I discover something about a kid, I'll actually go open up my phone, write their name and the thing that I learned about them, and then when I'm about to go into those settings with students, I'll like look back and be like, who was that kid? I just and so the reason is you're trying to build.
So like that's
relationships.
Jeremy who drives his car into the youth group.
Right. Yeah. How's your car doing, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Is it still in the youth ministry building? Right.
Yeah.
So you go up to them and you just say, "Hey," call by their name, and then ask them about the soccer or the hole in the church that they made.
Right. Hopefully you don't have a student who makes a hole in your church though with their car.
It's pretty awful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I had to help fix it. That was my punishment. I had to help fix it, but nobody in my family was like handy. So I think I really made it worse.
Probably did. Poor church. All right, number 8 is sometimes we focus all on the students and we forget about the parents. And so meet one-on-one with the parents. Take them out to coffee. You can do pretty much everything we talked about with parents, and because they're going to be your greatest supporters, throughout the ministry, and you want to get a good impression with them when you first get there for sure.
Yeah, and like that's 100%. And like we said, though, that younger group is the group that that's going to be like your main kind of prime group that's going to connect easiest with you, and so their parents are the ones that get them there.
Right. Yeah.
they can't drive
drive
yet, right? So like their parents can have a huge influence on whether or not they do that.
Right.
All right, so, and then last one, number 9, compliment the previous pastor and the previous program.
Please do that.
Yes, it doesn't matter if they were a complete mess up. Like, if they just, didn't do anything right, like, if they flamed out. Like, there are people there that God used that pastor and the program in the past in their life, and when you don't value it, you are kind of insulting their spiritual journey. And so you just whatever you do, don't say anything bad about the previous person. And it might be hard to find some things to say about them, but the least you can say is that
He has nice glasses.
he has nice glasses. Right. Yeah. Just say anything positive, that he has nice glasses or whatever. So, all right, that's the 9 things that you can do to connect with students. And some of these are actually in my book that is coming out with Abingdon, and I'm really excited about this, because what it does is, like, I've been working with teenagers for somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 years, and I tried to put all of the practical knowledge like this into one book so that you could just kind of learn from my mistakes. And if I tell any bad stories in there about Mike, I changed his name to Michael. So
That's good. I don't think anybody will notice.
nobody would notice that. All right. See ya.